Modern life rushes by like a swirling current, leaving us feeling overwhelmed by ever-growing to-do lists and relentless deadlines. So often, we promise ourselves we'll tackle tasks immediately. Yet even when we're seated at our desks, our hands fumble and our thoughts stall at the idea stage without turning into concrete action. Many believe that with just a spark of inspiration or a sudden burst of motivation, everything will flow naturally. But in reality, those flashes of inspiration almost always arrive as a result of action, not the trigger for it. When we wait for motivation, it's like a climber standing at the base of a mountain, endlessly admiring the view while wondering if we're brave enough to take that first step. The moment we actually plant our foot down, no matter how shaky, we instantly sense the slope beneath us and find a sturdy foothold for the next move. With each step, our brain releases dopamine, the neurotransmitter linked to pleasure and motivation, invigorating us and expanding our perspective. This simple loop act, receive positive feedback act again, powers an upward spiral of progress. Over centuries, inventors and entrepreneurs have proven that action first, motivation follows isn't mere theory. Thomas Edison, for example, didn't wait for a stroke of genius. He tested thousands of light bulb prototypes, learning from each failure until the filament finally glowed. Henry Ford likewise plunged into mass-producing automobiles long before the market was proven, gathering errors and insights that would revolutionize assembly line production. Today's lean startup methodology still relies on build, measure, learn, urging founders to launch a minimal viable product, measure real customer feedback, then swiftly iterate rather than plan forever on paper before ever seeing revenue. Many people, by contrast, remain trapped by procrastination. Fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of stepping outside our comfort zone. These ancestral survival instincts now imprison us in an invisible cage of anxiety, magnifying imagined worst-case scenarios. If we can confront our worst-case scenario head-on and map out concrete contingency plans, that fog of fear begins to lift, replaced by a sense of agency and calm resolve. To break procrastination's grip, experts often recommend the 5-minute rule: commit to working on a task for just the first 5 minutes, with no expectation of completing the whole thing. This small promise makes starting feel much less daunting, and astonishingly, once most people begin, they continue for another 15 or 20 minutes at least. That spark of initial effort becomes the catalyst that propels us forward. When a big project is chopped into very small pieces, its enormity dissolves. Write a short paragraph no longer feels as intimidating as write the entire report. Make a brief introductory call is far less overwhelming than conduct a high-pressure sales call. With each tiny step, mental resistance fades and tasks accumulate almost naturally. Maintaining personal discipline is the key to sustaining action over the long haul. Habits aren't just repeated behaviors. They're an automatic mechanism that frees our brain to tackle more important decisions. To build consistency, you might adopt Jerry Seinfeld's "don't break the chain" strategy. Mark each day you write on your calendar, and don't let a single day go unmarked. The momentum of preserving that unbroken chain drives you onward. Equally important is designing a supportive work environment. Clear your desk of distractions. Silence non-essential social media and email notifications, and carve out focused time blocks. Visual cues like sticky notes reminding you of your first 5-minute commitment, or a Pomodoro timer set for 25-minute work intervals constantly signal it's time to work, helping you stay on track. Sometimes fear also stems from self-doubt about our own abilities. To counter this, keep an emotional journal practice, brief meditation, or confide in a trusted friend to trace the root of your anxiety. Understanding its source deflates the dread and makes room for determination to emerge. Even the smallest action can change everything. Edwin C. Barnes, who dreamed of working with Edison, didn't wait for a grand opportunity. He boarded a freight train to Edison's office and asked for a low-level position. That bold move made Edison remember him when a major project arose, and Barnes ultimately became Edison's key partner. Had he hesitated, he might have remained an obscure name on Wall Street. Not every setback is a dead end. Rather than treating mistakes as failures, view them as valuable lessons that fuel your next experiment. Consistently running through the action feedback loop brings you to success far more effectively than waiting for a great idea to magically materialize. For a long-term motivation, craft a clear vision of why you're pursuing your goals. Writing a personal mission statement and placing it where you can see it daily reminds you that no matter how tired you feel, your bigger purpose deserves your effort. Sharing your progress with a trustworthy friend or a colleague adds positive accountability, since you won't want to be the first to break your promise. Time is our most precious non-renewable resource. Every moment spent waiting for motivation is an opportunity lost forever. When you realize that hesitation only causes you to miss life's train, you'll feel compelled to act right here and now. Don't let perfectionism stand in your way. Perfect is often the enemy of good. Accept that a rough start still generates momentum and leads you to keep moving. Ultimately, the key to turning potential into reality is your ability to act without waiting for ideal conditions. Whether you're writing a thesis, launching a business, designing a marketing campaign, or simply committing to physical fitness, trust that once you take that first, even tiny step, the journey unfolds before you. Action lights the way, motivation follows, and only then do your dreams transform into tangible achievements you can touch. Begin now immediately, and don't let doubt lock the door to the success that awaits you. Modern existence often resembles a relentless torrent sweeping us forward into an ever-rising tide of tasks, deadlines, and expectations that can leave us feeling perpetually off balance. We resolve to seize the day, to launch ourselves into action from the moment we wake, yet too often, even the simplest task remains untouched, as hours become days and days become weeks, all spent waiting for the elusive spark of motivation. Yet, what if the conventional wisdom is inverted? What if, rather than waiting for inspiration to precede action, we recognize that action itself cultivates the emotional drive necessary to sustain progress? In this comprehensive exploration of perseverance and self-discipline, we will delve into how consistent, deliberate effort reshapes our mental landscape, how discomfort and pain can serve as catalysts for growth, and why the greatest victories belong to those who show up day after day, regardless of how they feel. When the alarm blares at dawn and the mind yearns for comfort, the choice becomes stark: remain ensnared in the warmth of the bed, or push away the covers, planting a foot on the cold floor to reaffirm a commitment to your goals. Each time you resist the urge to linger, you reinforce an unspoken contract with yourself that your word is reliable and you are worthy of your own trust. Over time, these tiny acts of self-assertion accumulate, forging a muscle of discipline that empowers you to persevere through the most daunting challenges. The paradox at the core of this transformation is that discipline does not demand self-inflicted misery. Rather, it thrives on the incremental victories that arise from repeated resistance to convenience. Discomfort is often cast as the enemy of progress, but it is in fact an indispensable teacher. When we first wade into the waters of tension, whether physical, mental, or emotional, it can feel unbearable. The mind unleashes a torrent of objections, pleading for relief, safety, and the status quo. Yet if we deliberately lean into that friction, refusing to concede to complacency, we begin to reshape the neural pathways that govern our perceptions of challenge. What was once perceived as an insurmountable obstacle gradually becomes familiar terrain, the anxiety around it dissipating as newfound resilience takes root. This process of habituation underlines the transformative power of repeated exposure. To cultivate fortitude, one must repeatedly engage with the very situations they wish to master. Reliance on motivation alone is akin to depending on the capriciousness of the wind for navigation. Some days it may blow favorably, fanning the flames of enthusiasm. On others, it may subside, leaving you stranded in inaction. Discipline, in contrast, is an internal engine that operates independently of external conditions, moods, or fleeting enthusiasms. It is the conscious resolve to act according to your principles and priorities, rather than your present feelings. When challenges arise, unexpected setbacks, pressing doubts, or gnawing fatigue, the disciplined individual does not renegotiate the terms of engagement with their ambitions. Instead, they confront adversity head-on, mindful that consistency is the bedrock upon which excellence is built. Over time, each fulfilled commitment, no matter how modest, adds a brick to the foundation of self-confidence, making the next step that much easier. Consistency distinguishes those whose dreams become reality from those whose best intentions grow stale and wither. Anyone can muster inspiration for a brief period, a day, a week, or even a month, but sustaining momentum beyond the honeymoon phase requires a deeper resource: endurance. This endurance, cultivated through habitual persistence, ensures that progress continues even when the world offers no applause. Whether it is writing the opening lines of a novel before dawn, logging miles on the pavement in rain or shine, or systematically honing a professional skill in the quiet hours after work, it is the unwavering decision to show up that ultimately separates achievers from dreamers. Discipline, much like a muscle, demands training through repetition and incremental increases in difficulty. Begin with modest commitments. Arise at your designated hour. Deliver on your daily pledge to practice your craft, or allocate a small fixed window to pursue your top priority each morning. These initial triumphs reinforce the belief that you can depend on yourself. With each successive success, however small, the neural circuitry of self-discipline strengthens, lowering the activation energy required for future action. Soon, the friction between intention and execution diminishes, and your daily habits become as automatic as breathing. Self-discipline extends far beyond the realm of professional achievement. It is the ultimate expression of self-respect and self-love. By consistently aligning your behaviors with your highest ideals, you affirm your own value, declaring that your goals are worthy of the effort required to achieve them. This integrity becomes a virtuous cycle. The more you honor your commitments, the more your self-trust deepens, and the more capable you feel of pursuing increasingly ambitious objectives. Pain, whether physical or emotional, need not be an antagonist in our narrative. Instead, we can harness adversity as a potent source of motivation. When trials emerge, loss, rejection, or failure, it is within our power to allow trauma to embitter or to transmute suffering into fuel. Those who rise above adversity do not deny the sting of their experiences. Rather, they integrate the lessons gleaned, forging sharper intellects, stronger spirits, and a resolute will. By reframing pain as an opportunity for transformation, we ignite an inner fire that sustains us through future hardships. In the crucible of hardship, ordinary individuals have become legends. Athletes who train through injuries, leaders who persevere through personal tragedy, and visionaries who rebound from financial ruin all share a unifying principle: the refusal to yield to despair. Instead of avoiding challenges, they confront them repeatedly, each ordeal engraving a deeper sense of mastery and a more profound appreciation for the journey. They exemplify the truth that growth is optional but available to anyone bold enough to embrace discomfort as a companion rather than a foe. To implement these principles in daily life, begin by recalibrating your relationship with discomfort. When resistance surfaces, observe it without judgment, then take a deliberate step forward, no matter how small. It might mean tackling a 5-minute session of a daunting task, performing a single set of a challenging exercise, or voicing a difficult conversation. Recognize that each act of contrarian persistence, choosing challenge over ease, strengthens your capacity for future victory. Simultaneously, craft an environment that supports disciplined action. Remove unnecessary distractions. Formalize specific time blocks for your highest priorities and enlist the support of trusted allies who will hold you accountable. Establish rituals such as a morning review of daily goals or an evening reflection on accomplishments to anchor your efforts and maintain clarity of purpose. Ultimately, the synthesis of consistent action resilience in the face of adversity and the strategic use of pain as an accelerant cultivates a profound internal drive that outlasts any momentary passion. It forges a character capable of pursuing long-term aspirations with unwavering focus. As you integrate these practices, you will discover that your potential knows no bounds. Every time you fulfill a commitment to yourself, you reinforce the bridge between aspiration and achievement. Your dreams cease to be distant specters, instead materializing through the steady cadence of disciplined effort. In the end, self-discipline and perseverance are not burdens to bear, but gifts to bestow upon oneself. They are the quiet forces that propel individuals from where they are to where they aspire to be. Embrace the discomfort, honor your commitments, and allow each painful lesson to become the catalyst for growth. In doing so, you unlock the gateway to your greatest triumphs, proving that with disciplined consistency, anything is possible. Modern life offers no guarantees of comfort, and it is precisely the inevitability of pain that catalyzes our evolution. When the body aches, the mind rebels against the strain, and the heart wavers at the edge of temptation to surrender. Yet within that crucible of hardship lies the seed of transformation. Pain obliterates complacency, compelling us to expand our limits, to shatter illusions of safety, and to pursue growth even when every instinct screams to retreat. In the midst of struggle, whether it be physical exertion that leaves muscles quivering, emotional distress that tightens the chest, or mental pressure that clouds judgment, the first reaction is nearly always one of flight. We seek the path of least resistance, yearning for ease. Yet when we consciously resist that urge and lean into the discomfort, we forge a new sense of possibility. Discomfort becomes the incubator for resilience, teaching us to adapt, endure, and ultimately emerge stronger. Let us imagine the countless pioneers of human endeavor, artists, athletes, entrepreneurs who refused to yield in the face of agony. They did not passively wait for inspiration or convenience. They deliberately immersed themselves in adversity. Pain, rather than breaking them, served as a sculptor, carving wisdom into their being. It is in the painful rehearsals of a performance, the heart-pounding miles of a marathon, and the sleepless nights spent debugging code that mastery is earned. Embracing pain as an ally begins with a shift in perspective to see each challenge not as a roadblock but as a signpost, directing us toward undiscovered strengths. When fear whispers of potential collapse, we must remind ourselves that struggle is the birthplace of transformation. In each moment of tension, we stand at a crossroads to allow pain to consume us or to harness it, using its energy to propel us forward. Step after step, we must choose the latter. Recognizing that most people instinctively flee from difficulty, we can gain a competitive edge by welcoming trials as essential components of our journey. Pain ceases to be an enemy when it becomes a guide illuminating areas for growth, signaling where we must refine our approach and forging an unbreakable self-trust. Consider the stories of iconic figures who turned their deepest suffering into legacy. They confronted rejection, devastating loss, and failure not as endpoints, but as raw material for progress. They reframed every setback as an invitation to refine their craft, deepen their purpose, and recommit to their vision. Edison's countless failed light bulb prototypes did not deter him. They fueled his determination. Similarly, athletes who triumph in competition often attribute their success to the hours of pain-strewn practice invisible to the public eye. You possess that same potential. Within you lies an untapped reservoir of strength dormant until awakened by intentional confrontation with hardship. Every twinge of discomfort offers a choice to shrink away or to extend your capacity. When you choose to remain standing in adversity, you forge mental toughness that carries forward into all arenas of life. Yet endurance alone is not enough. Without direction, pain may fracture rather than fortify. Thus, we set our gaze on well-defined objectives. Goals, like a compass, grant our struggle meaning and purpose. Vague aspirations, such as seeking happiness or achieving success, lack actionable clarity. Instead, we define goals with precision, specifying the desired outcome, establishing measurable benchmarks, and assigning realistic deadlines. Once goals are delineated, we dismantle them into incremental tasks. A lofty vision returned to bite-sized challenges sheds its intimidation, allowing us to advance steadily. Each completed task fuels confidence, creating momentum that transforms impossibility into inevitability. Crucially, action must accompany planning. Goals without initiative remain fantasies, evaporating with the passage of time. Small daily victories, the silent triumph of doing what must be done, compile into monumental achievements. Discipline is the muscle that powers this ascent. It is built through repetition, through honoring commitments when no audience applauds, and through resisting the seduction of comfort. When the alarm clock rings, discipline summons you from warmth into wakefulness. When deadlines loom, it mandates focus amid fatigue. When obstacles arise, it insists on perseverance rather than capitulation. To cultivate this discipline, we begin with tiny acts of self-mastery, rising at the predetermined hour, tackling the day's top priority before distractions intrude, and completing short sessions of challenging work. These acts, repeated consistently, fortify self-trust. As self-trust deepens, the resistance to beginning dwindles and actions align more effortlessly with intentions. Accountability amplifies progress. By articulating our goals on paper, in conversation, or in a shared digital log, we introduce external markers of responsibility. An accountability partner, mentor, or supportive community helps maintain the momentum, offering encouragement when doubts surface and candid feedback when we stray. Resistance is inevitable, yet each time we overcome it, we recalibrate our identity. We cease to be victims of our emotions and become masters of our fate. The transformation wrought by consistent action in the face of discomfort rewires our neural circuitry, embedding resilience as a default response and rewiring our brains to interpret pain as progress. Progress is punctuated by milestones. Yet we do not mistake milestones for endpoints. Each threshold crossed reveals new terrain of development, fresh opportunities for growth, and deeper layers of purpose. Pain, in its relentless impartiality, continues to challenge us now, revealing subtler forms of hardship, complex projects, intricate skill, refinement, or emotional vulnerabilities. Our task remains the same: to engage, adapt, and persevere. Some advice suggests limiting hardship, creating a comfort zone of incremental difficulty. However, truly profound growth emerges when we periodically expand our zone of challenge, seeking discomfort in structured ways, embracing cold showers, signing up for public speaking, or pursuing creative risks. These deliberate exposures foster psychological flexibility, preparing us for unforeseeable trials in life and work. Moreover, the interplay between pain and purpose is vital. Purpose acts as the lodestar guiding our response to hardship. When pain is tethered to a higher meaning impacting those we care about, advancing a cause or fulfilling a calling, it acquires transformative potency. The journey becomes less about mere endurance and more about service and significance. In parallel, we refine our environment to support sustained effort. Distractions are minimized. Digital notifications silenced, social media restricted, and unproductive habits replaced with rituals that center around progress. A morning routine might begin with journaling a brief gratitude entry, followed by reviewing daily goals and launching into focused work. An evening ritual can involve reflecting on successes and setbacks, acknowledging lessons learned, and planning the following day's priorities. Over time, these systems, precise goals, daily rituals, supportive contexts, and the embrace of discomfort interlock to produce a dynamic equilibrium of growth. The friction between aspiration and action dissolves, leaving a streamlined process in which resilience and purpose synergize. As you apply these principles, remember that transformation is rarely linear. Setbacks will still occur. Some days will feel stagnant, and the pain may still sting. Yet each stumble is merely data, a chance to adjust strategies, reevaluate priorities, and renew your commitment. Your greatest breakthroughs often follow your darkest hours of struggle. Ultimately, the synthesis of pain as fuel, crystal clear goals, disciplined consistency, and a nurturing environment reveals the essence of human potential. We are by design creatures of growth, wired to adapt and thrive when challenged. By leaning into pain, anchoring ourselves in purpose, and aligning daily actions with strategic objectives, we unlock capacities beyond imagination. In this ongoing expedition of self-mastery, every moment of discomfort is a stepping stone, every goal a horizon beckoning us forward, and every discipline-built habit a bridge across the chasm between intent and accomplishment. Embrace the path of purposeful hardship. Honor each incremental win, and know that in the grand narrative of your life, the chapters forged in pain will stand as the most brilliant testaments to your resilience and the greatest proofs of your triumph. Modern life offers no guarantees of comfort, and it is precisely the inevitability of pain that catalyzes our evolution. When the body aches, the mind rebels against the strain, and the heart wavers at the edge of temptation to surrender. Yet within that crucible of hardship lies the seed of transformation. Pain obliterates complacency, compelling us to expand our limits, shatter illusions of safety, and pursue growth, even when every instinct screams to retreat. In the midst of struggle, whether it be muscles burning under a heavy load, emotions roiling in the chest, or mental circuits firing in anxiety, the initial impulse is almost always to flee. We hunt for the path of least resistance, longing for an easy escape. Yet when we deliberately lean into that discomfort, we begin to rewire our nervous system's automatic responses, turning distress into an unexpected ally. Discomfort, once feared as the enemy of progress, becomes the workshop in which we craft resilience. Picture the countless trailblazers, writers, athletes, inventors who immersed themselves in hardship rather than waiting for ideal conditions. Their wounds and their setbacks did not break them. They shaped them. Long nights, debugging software, grueling training sessions in cold rain, and the sting of rejection letters all served as sculptors of character. It is within adversity's furnace that our latent strengths are refined and our resolve tempered. The keystone of this transformation is the shift from viewing pain as an adversary to recognizing it as a signpost toward growth. When panic whispers that we cannot endure, we must choose to interpret the sensation as evidence of progress rather than proof of defeat. Each pang of discomfort marks a threshold we have crossed, signaling that our capacity has expanded and our mental muscles have grown. Consistent action in the face of hardship builds an unshakable mindset. It demands that we conduct ourselves not according to how we feel, but according to our highest priorities. Relying on fleeting enthusiasm is a recipe for inconsistency. Discipline erects its own internal engine, unaffected by mood swings. When the alarm bell rings before dawn, a disciplined person rises. When doubts assail, they push forward. When fatigue threatens to derail them, they persevere. Each conquered challenge adds a brick to the fortress of self-belief, making the next trial easier to surmount. Those who achieve greatness are not necessarily the most talented or the luckiest. They are the ones who refuse to quit. Daily execution of well-laid plans, steadfast commitment to improvement, and the courage to persist when progress slows are the hallmarks of success. It is not chance that separates them from the masses, but the relentless application of effort over time. By defining clear objectives, mapping out actionable steps, and taking deliberate action each day, they convert aspiration into reality. Equally critical is the cultivation of a growth-oriented mindset. A fragile mindset akin to a house built on sand trembles at the first sign of difficulty. A robust mindset, by contrast, stands firm, interpreting setbacks as lessons rather than verdicts. Failure does not define us. It instructs us. When a project falters, a resilient thinker assesses what went wrong, adjusts strategies, and emerges more capable. Our beliefs sculpt our behaviors, declaring "I can't" guarantees stagnation, while affirming "I will learn" unlocks hidden reservoirs of perseverance. Feeding the mind with empowering influences is as vital as nourishing the body. Surround yourself with individuals who radiate ambition and integrity. People who test your limits, challenge your complacency, and hold you accountable. Proximity to excellence elevates your own standards, making mediocrity untenable. Seek mentors who have navigated paths you aspire to follow. Their insights can accelerate your journey, saving you years of trial and error. Conversely, distance yourself from pessimism and inertia. The excuses and complaints of the undisciplined are contagious. Guard against them. Audit your social circle, cherish relationships that demand growth, and remove those that permit stagnation. Your environment is the soil in which your potential either withers or flourishes. Time, our most precious currency, must be managed with purpose. The successful do not possess extra hours. They simply allocate them wisely. Begin by tracking your daily activities to reveal time drains, mindless scrolling, busy work, or unproductive meetings. Then ruthlessly eliminate what doesn't serve your goals. Structure each day around a clear schedule, segmenting large ambitions into granular tasks. Use tools such as time blocking or the Pomodoro technique to maintain focus. Each minute reclaimed is an investment in progress. Still, life will test you. Setbacks will come unannounced, and pain will still sting. In those moments, draw on the resilience you have cultivated. Acknowledge discomfort without capitulation. Learn from hardship without despair. And recommit to your vision with renewed clarity. Remember, mastery is forged in the fires of challenge, not in the calm of comfort. Ultimately, the fusion of purposeful pain, disciplined consistency, goal clarity, an empowering circle, and strategic time management constructs a resilient architecture of success. Each act of perseverance, each deliberate step forward, each pivot after a setback, builds upon the last, culminating in achievements that once seemed unattainable. Your narrative becomes one of transformation, written in the ink of unyielding grit. Embrace the journey. Let discomfort guide you, let pain instruct you, and let unwavering discipline carry you forward. In doing so, you will discover that your potential is not a fixed limit, but a horizon that recedes only as you advance. By showing up for yourself day after day, in triumphs and trials alike, you affirm a truth: success is not a matter of chance, but the inevitable outcome of relentless pursuit. Modern life offers no guarantees of comfort, and it is precisely the inevitability of pain that catalyzes our evolution. When the body aches, the mind rebels against the strain, and the heart wavers at the edge of temptation to surrender. Yet within that crucible of hardship lies the seed of transformation. Pain obliterates complacency, compelling us to expand our limits, shatter illusions of safety, and pursue growth, even when every instinct screams to retreat. In the midst of struggle, whether it be muscles burning under a heavy load, emotions roiling in the chest, or mental circuits firing in anxiety, the initial impulse is almost always to flee. We hunt for the path of least resistance, longing for an easy escape. Yet when we deliberately lean into that discomfort, we begin to rewire our nervous system's automatic responses, turning distress into an unexpected ally. Discomfort, once feared as the enemy of progress, becomes the workshop in which we craft resilience. Picture the countless trailblazers, writers, athletes, inventors who immerse themselves in hardship rather than waiting for ideal conditions. Their wounds and their setbacks did not break them. They shaped them. While long nights debugging software, grueling training sessions in cold rain, and the sting of rejection letters all served as sculptors of character. It is within adversity's furnace that our latent strengths are refined and our resolve tempered. The keystone of this transformation is the shift from viewing pain as an adversary to recognizing it as a signpost toward growth. When panic whispers that we cannot endure, we must choose to interpret the sensation as evidence of progress rather than proof of defeat. Each pang of discomfort marks a threshold we have crossed, signaling that our capacity has expanded and our mental muscles have grown. Consistent action in the face of hardship builds an unshakable mindset. It demands that we conduct ourselves not according to how we feel, but according to our highest priorities. Relying on fleeting enthusiasm is a recipe for inconsistency. Discipline erects its own internal engine unaffected by mood swings. When the alarm bell rings before dawn, a disciplined person rises. When doubts assail, they push forward. When fatigue threatens to derail them, they persevere. Each conquered challenge adds a brick to the fortress of self-belief, making the next trial easier to surmount. Those who achieve greatness are not necessarily the most talented or the luckiest. They are the ones who refuse to quit. Daily execution of well-laid plans, steadfast commitment to improvement, and the courage to persist when progress slows are the hallmarks of success. It is not chance that separates them from the masses, but the relentless application of effort over time. By defining clear objectives, mapping out actionable steps, and taking deliberate action each day, they convert aspiration into reality. Equally critical is the cultivation of a growth-oriented mindset. A fragile mindset, akin to a house built on sand, trembles at the first sign of difficulty. A robust mindset, by contrast, stands firm, interpreting setbacks as lessons rather than verdicts. Failure does not define us. It instructs us. When a project falters, a resilient thinker assesses what went wrong, adjusts strategies, and emerges more capable. Our beliefs sculpt our behaviors, declaring "I can't" guarantees stagnation, while affirming "I will learn" unlocks hidden reservoirs of perseverance. Feeding the mind with empowering influences is as vital as nourishing the body. Surround yourself with individuals who radiate ambition and integrity. People who test your limits, challenge your complacency, and hold you accountable. Proximity to excellence elevates your own standards, making mediocrity untenable. Seek mentors who have navigated paths you aspire to follow. Their insights can accelerate your journey, saving you years of trial and error. Conversely, distance yourself from pessimism and inertia. The excuses and complaints of the undisciplined are contagious. Guard against them. Audit your social circle, cherish relationships that demand growth, and remove those that permit stagnation. Your environment is the soil in which your potential either withers or flourishes. Time, our most precious currency, must be managed with purpose. The successful do not possess extra hours. They simply allocate them wisely. Begin by tracking your daily activities to reveal time drains, mindless scrolling, busy work, or unproductive meetings. Then ruthlessly eliminate what doesn't serve your goals. Structure each day around a clear schedule, segmenting large ambitions into granular tasks. Use tools such as time blocking or the Pomodoro technique to maintain focus. Each minute reclaimed is an investment in progress. Technology, while empowering, can also fragment our attention. Notifications and endless browsing devour hours unseen. To reclaim your time, establish firm boundaries, mute non-essential alerts, designate distraction-free intervals, and batch communication tasks. Guarding your focus is a vital habit for discipline, bridges the gap between your present self and your envisioned future. By adhering to deadlines you set and honoring your own schedule, you transform every moment of effort into intentional progress. Failure, far from being the antithesis of success, is a critical ingredient in the recipe for achievement. History's luminaries, from inventors who tested thousands of prototypes to entrepreneurs who weathered bankruptcy, share one trait. They interpreted every setback as actionable feedback. When a plan falters, they pause to analyze what went awry, extract the lesson, and refine their approach. In this way, missteps serve as stepping stones, rather than stumbling blocks, propelling them forward with sharper insight. The cultural stigma of failure often obscures its instructive power. We idolize triumphs while glossing over the trials that preceded them, fostering a false belief that success is effortless. In truth, resilience is forged in the heat of adversity. The quicker we fail, the faster we learn, and the sooner we advance. Accepting failure as integral to progress diminishes its paralyzing fear, replacing it with curiosity and resolve. Every moment presents a decision point. Continue the narrative of hesitation or commit to decisive action. True transformation begins when you trade excuses for execution. The perfect starting point is a mirage. Conditions will never align flawlessly. Yet the most accomplished individuals do not await serendipity. They create their own favorable conditions through deliberate action. By choosing to act now, however modest, the first step momentum builds. Confidence strengthens and clarity emerges. Procrastination steals days that never return. Action carves the path ahead. Ultimately, the synergy of purposeful discomfort, disciplined follow-through. Clearly defined goals, a supportive network, strategic time stewardship, and an embrace of failure as feedback erects an enduring framework for success. Each deliberate effort writes a new line in your personal legend, transforming aspirations into tangible outcomes. Embrace discomfort as your tutor. Let setbacks sharpen your resolve and harness every fleeting moment to advance unceasingly. In doing so, you will discover that your potential is not a distant ideal, but a daily reality, unfolding with every intentional step you take.